Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this one is a little less about the game and more about, I guess more about the players. So we all know Saturday night, um, Washington and USC played, and just let's just get this out of the way. That game could have been out of hand. There were some plays that happened. There was a 4th and 1 that had no business being a touchdown. There was one from Williams to Rice. I don't know how. I don't. The defense just folded on that play. They scored a touchdown there. There was a point when Washington went down and could have went up 2 scores, and they threw a pick. They went back down, scored, and tied it. And then there was the possession where they held Washington to a field goal. So you look at those 3 plays. USC, the defense climbed up and held them to a field goal, which kept them in the game because, like I said, if they didn't throw it, they didn't throw that interception, and they don't convert that 4th and 1. You're talking about possibly extra 14-point swing. So there could have been a point when USC was down 21, and who knows how bad the game could have got at that point. But yeah, Washington went on to win. Washington was favored anyway. But anyway, this is more about what happened after the game. So if you don't know, essentially what happened after the game was over. Caleb Williams, he jumped into the stands and he hugged his mom, and he had a real emotional moment. You can tell he was, you couldn't see his face obviously because his mom had covered up his face, but you can tell he was real emotional. He was bawling his eyes out, and you always have that section of the internet that don't see it from. They're not looking at it from. They're either not looking at it from an emotional standpoint, or they're looking at it from too harsh of a perspective. So you always have one side of the line where they're like, oh, okay, there's no problem with that. He had an emotional moment. Things happen in sports. Emotions get the best of you, and I agree. He did nothing wrong in that moment. He had a emotional human moment. He lost the game, and it's not just losing the game. People aren't looking at the whole context of what this game meant. After this game, they only have one more home game left. I think it's the last game of the season, or if I think I can't. They have one more home game. People are looking at this like, oh, he's like a quitter and a crier, and he's not a leader. And I just don't understand what. I just don't know how you come to that conclusion from that small moment. You know what I mean? They act like the guy didn't go out there and play his heart out. The guy runs around every week. He has to play basically perfect football every year, or not every year. Well, the past 2 years he's had to play basically perfect football because they just cannot get the defense fixed. So they're giving it. That's why they're giving him 40, 30, 40, 50 points a game, and everything's got to be on him. Um, hey man, it gets to a point where it's like it's like that breaking point moment. Everyone likes to act like they don't have any kind of breaking point. They just can do anything and everything, and just nothing affects them. That's not human nature. Eventually, you get to a point where it's like you don't know what to do anymore. You just kind of I guess collapse within yourself, and you just kind of break down. Everyone's had that moment. These people are acting like they've never had a moment like this, and are people gonna bring? Oh, he's getting all this money. He's getting all of these promotional deals. Um, He's getting sponsorships. And then they always they bring they apparently this is the thing he said he wants stake in the team that drafts him. Now I don't know about all that. That's 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 kind of weird. I can see where people come from. That I don't know what team would actually do that for a first round draft pick or possibly a number one overall draft pick. I don't think that's going to happen. But even with all that said, that doesn't negate the fact that he can't have an emotional moment. And people always saying, "Well, he's a grown man." Well, he's 21, so like, I don't. Y'all gotta pick a side. Are these grown men, right? Are these grown men? Or are these young men? Are these young men kids, if you want to call them that? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't critique them and treat them like a pro, and then keep calling them kids. Which one are these kids or are these adults? Or well, they're legal adults, but what I'm saying is, are they young kids, young adults? Still learning, or are you going to treat them like grown men? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to essentially you're going to treat them like college students, or you're going to treat them like a 10-year NFL veteran? You got to pick one. You can't pick and choose when it's you can't pick and choose when it's convenient for you for your argument. Look, man, these guys get paid, but it's like that's a small. People forget it's a small amount of people in NCAA that get paid the big NIL bucks. Most of these guys are still living like pretty much normal college kids. They go to practice, they go to school, they may make a little money on the side, and they go about their day. And they're not all got Wendy's commercials and Popeyes commercials. I'm bringing up Popeyes because of Shador Sanders. I think he did the thing, was that KFC, whatever the commercial he did with his family. Like, not all, most of these guys are not getting that. They're getting like some kind of local deal. Maybe they do some YouTube on the side, some Twitch, and that's how they get paid. And I have no problem with that. You got to be able to. People forget this is still college. Even if everything is paid for, right? You got a full ride at college. There's still small stuff in between. Like, you got to get food, and you got to buy clothes, and you got to buy, entertainment. You gotta have something to drive, depending on where you live. Um, you gotta excuse me. You gotta what else do you need? You just need maybe just some pocket money in case you walking around town and you doing something, you're like, hey, let's check this out real quick. Everyone. It seems like with basketball and football players, they're the only players that can't live. They can't do stuff that other college kids can do. The volleyball kid can do that. The golf kid can do that. The rowing kid can do that, but not the guys with the biggest spot. That doesn't make any sense. I get technically they're celebrities, but they're not on that freaking level. These still aren't professional athletes. Like, come on now, let's be real. But yeah, I had no problem with it. He went up there, he had a moment. It's no problem. Everyone's had emotional moments. And we can't diminish one. There was something I saw on Twitter where excuse me, apparently there was a guy in Washington who his father had just passed, and after the game, I didn't see it until I saw it on Twitter, but apparently he had an emotional moment too. And granted, that's a fair moment to have that's a fair time to have an emotional moment as well. Your father passed. I think they said it was like in the last couple of days it happened. Like, it was like very, very recent. And he still went out there and played, and they won the game. And he had an emotional moment with his coach, and he was crying too. And obviously the circumstances are very, very different. At the end of the day, you're talking about a person passing, which is clearly that's more important. That's more important of a reason to cry than obviously what Caleb was doing. He lost the game, but that doesn't diminish the emotional impact the guy's having. You know what I'm saying? if that's the case, that guy easily could have waited till he got in the locker room and then had his emotional moment. But he had the emotional moment on the field, and no one's taking that away from him. Shoot, I have no. I prefer that you show some emotion. It shows you care. You know what I'm saying? It shows you're fighting for something. If you out there and you have no emotion, that usually means you don't care about what you're doing. If you don't have any passion, no kind of emotional attachment to something, you most likely really don't care about it. Now everyone's different for the most part, because everyone doesn't put their emotions on their sleeve. But for the most part, if you care about something, you usually having a passion for it, an emotional attachment, you have some stake in it. You'll feel something when you achieve something, or if you fail at something, you'll feel it. Um, the reason why if you put two and two together, you'll understand why he was crying. So one, he lost the third game of the season. That essentially knocks them out of the playoff hunt. That essentially knocks them out of the Pac-12 title hunt. That also essentially means he's out of the Heisman race, because I don't think with three losses and just the group of guys in front of him with better records and better stats and better team records, it's kind of gotten to the point where now he's looking at it in hindsight. He's like, there's really nothing else. There's really nothing for him to play. Obviously, he has to win two more games and in the bowl game. So, he has 3 games. He can still win. But I understand from his perspective, he's looking back, he's looking at it and he's like, damn, like I did everything I could. I came all the way from DC to Oklahoma. And the people don't understand, from DC to Oklahoma, that's far in it of itself. And then he went from Oklahoma to Los Angeles, which is another long ride. And he was thinking, hey, I go to USC, I got a chance. I want to play for Lincoln Riley. He was the guy that recruited me. I go out there, I ball, I put my heart and soul, I put my body in the line for that guy. And it didn't work out the way he planned. He planned for it to work out. And at that age, it kind of feels like it's like the end of the world. And I get from his perspective, it kind of is. He, after this season, he's not coming. I highly doubt he'd come back for his senior year, just because the what they got him projected. They got him projected as number one. I just don't see a scenario where he would try to come back and try to run it back. One, because the defense is very suspect. You don't know if they're going to fix that in a year. The conference is dissolving, so next year they're going to be in the Big Ten, which is going to be, honestly, I don't know how competitive they'll be in the first year. Especially with that top heavy, it's a very top heavy conference. But I mean, it's a lot of talent in the Big Ten. But it's clear as day. You got Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, or like the big three. And he don't know. He doesn't know. There's no way for this to know for sure. It's going to be very different. You got to get acclimated to the teams, the schemes. The Big Ten is very different than the Pac-12. You'll be playing. You'll be playing more games in worse weather than what you're doing now. It's a lot of variables, and I mean, if he came back, that would be a hell of a decision. But I mean, for his future, he's got to leave after this season. There's no way he can stay another year. Not even just from the injury standpoint. You can get injured doing anything. He can get injured. God forbid it doesn't happen, but he can get injured next week. You know what I mean? So you can get injured anytime. And he was injured like the end of last year. I think it was like an ankle, but he played through it. So I mean, people talking about, oh, he's soft or whatever. Did they not watch what he did the end of last year, all of this year? Like the guy can play. He plays. He's a soldier. He plays with heart. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just had that on my mind since I saw the stories from Saturday night and Sunday. Like, come on, man. Everyone has their moments, man. Let him live. He went to cry. He went to cry to his mom. That's like, if there's one person in the world you can go and cry to, it should be your mom. I don't care if it's in public or in private. You know what I'm saying? That should be, honestly, that should be like that should have been like a somber, touching moment. Instead, you got people out there that are going to clown him and question this. So, first of all, he's a football player. How do you question the football player's physical toughness or mental toughness for that? Both. I don't know how you question their toughness. Football is a hard sport. I know that the rules have changed, but it's still football. If it wasn't football, they wouldn't be wearing pads and helmets. It would be two-hand touch. It's still a rough game. I know the people that are talking bad about, I know they most likely would not go and suit up because they don't have the mental or physical toughness. And when it comes to contact sports, most of the toughness is from a mental standpoint. You got to be able to take hits after hits after hits after hits, for especially in football, for 3.5 hours every week, and then you got practice where you're hitting in practice. Not as much probably, but there's still contact. So it's a lot of shit. Oh, excuse me. It's a lot of it's a lot of stuff you got to go through from a mental standpoint. We clearly know he's physically tough because he's playing quarterback. People don't understand. Quarterback is probably the toughest position to play physically because everyone loves their own quarterback. No one loves the opposing quarterback. So 12 weeks a year, he basically has 11 plus people trying to knock his head off every week. I say 11 plus because you have the 11 starters, and then you probably have 5 or 6 second teamers that come in, or package guys that come in for different plays. That's why I say 11 plus. And then it doesn't help that the O line, they fold from sometimes. And a lot of these games this year, if you watch it, he's running around for his life. And he's still out there he makes some incredible runs when he be scrambling. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, man. Just get off his. You know what, man? Look, the guy goes out there and does his job. You can't. There's nothing more you can ask for him. He goes out there, does his job to the fullest extent. He plays hard. He plays passionate. He's a leader. I believe he's a leader. Otherwise, they wouldn't play. Otherwise, they wouldn't play for him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's all I gotta say about this. As always, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I see you guys in the next one. Peace.